Hey you guys, Life Coach Bridget here to share some Me 3 love with you because that's what I be doing. Okay, so recently I had a conversation with my son. Well, I talk to my son all the time. I talk to him every day, 4-5 times a day. Okay, let's just keep it real. All right, so he calls me one day and he's telling me how, he got up this morning. He said his prayers, he read Psalms 91 and Ephesians chapter 6, putting on the full body, the full armor of God, and all that cool stuff. And his regular routine, he's getting ready to go on his walk. All right, cool. He goes out on his walk and all of a sudden he finds himself being chased by a pit bull. Okay, so this pit bull chases him. My son's he's running his arms off, and he goes down into a ditch. He actually fell into a ditch and hurt his leg, right? He says, but when he looked up, the pit bull was standing at the top just growling. I mean, like, want to get him, right? But he stayed at the top. Okay, cool. Couple weeks goes by, my son calls me again. Now mind you, we didn't talk in between that time, but a couple weeks goes by, he gives me a call. Mom, man, and he's going, he's flipping. This motherfucker robbed me. Well, he tried to. And I said, okay, relax. What happened? Man, mama, I got up, I said my prayers, and he's going all in because he's upset. Okay. And I'm walking, and this time I stopped at the gas station. It's early in the morning. It's like almost 6 o'clock in the morning. I stop at the gas station and to go use the bathroom. I go up in there, use the bathroom, put my backpack down, and somebody was already in there. He snatched my backpack. Mom, I get myself together. I run out the stall, turn around and look, and oh boy, standing there with my backpack, and he's showing me his burner. I said, okay. He said, yeah. And then I was like, man, I just want my backpack. That's all I need is my backpack. I said, and what happened? He said, mama, then he gonna pull out the burner and he cocked it. And I said, damn. I said, so did he take your backpack? Yeah. I said, and your wallet and all that stuff? Well, yeah. I said, oh shit. He said, but I got it. I said, okay. So what happened? Well, he ran out. I ran out. The gas station attendant is right there counting money, and I tell the gas station attendant what happened. The gas station attendant gonna tell me, look, I ain't got time for all this. It's too early for all this. I wasn't laughing because shit, he going through some stuff. I said, damn. I said, but how did you get your backpack back? He said, because, mama, he said, I don't know. When he ran out, he hopped in a car. I ran out. He said, and he just dropped my backpack. I said, oh, did you pray this morning? He said, yeah, I prayed, mama. I said, okay, all right. I said, call me back when you calm down. He said, all right, because I got to go to class right now, and I'll call you back. I said, okay, all right. So he goes about his day. Okay, he ends up giving me a call back later on that day. He's in a better mood, better spirits, and all this other cool stuff. Okay, cool. So I say, how you feeling? He's like, I'm feeling better, Mom. I'm not gonna lie. That stuff this morning, it just tripped me out. I said, I heard you been praying, right? He said, Mom, I pray every day. I said, oh. He said, I say Psalms 91. I do the Ephesians. I put on the full armor of God. No weapons formed against me shall prosper. I said, right there, hold up. He said, huh? I said, right there, hold up. He said, what? I said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No weapons formed against you shall prosper. no weapons formed against you shall prosper. He said, yeah, I say that every day. I said, yeah, because I just recall you calling me a couple weeks ago, and you was telling me how, you got up doing your regular routine, and when you walked out, you get down the street or whatever, and you get chased by a pit bull, correct? He says, yep, mom, and he stood at the top, right? And man, I thought he was going to come down. I thought he was going to get me. I said, no, because the pit bull was the weapon, but he couldn't form against you. He said, yeah, okay. I said, and then this incident happened in the bathroom, right? At the gas station. Yeah, mama. I couldn't believe that. I said, oh. I said, and he brandished a weapon, right? Yeah, I said, and then he pulled the trigger. He sure did. He said, he didn't pull the trigger. I said, he cocked it. He sure did. Yep, he did. I said, yeah. But he couldn't pull the trigger because no weapons formed against you shall prosper. God never said the weapons wouldn't form. He just said they wouldn't prosper. Okay? I said, so continue to pray, praise, and give God the honor and the glory, because no weapons formed against you shall prosper. And this is for you, whoever's watching this video. Get up every day. Pray, praise, and give God the honor and the glory, knowing that no weapon formed against you will prosper. I love you guys to life. Me 3. Motivate, encourage, empower, embrace, because that's what I do. Have a day just as blessed as you are.